Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Previously I've talked about what you can do if you can't really get hold of a therapist. This week I thought we'd talk about which types of therapies you should look into if you can. So I've tried out three main types before. One was CBT, one was counselling, and the other was seeing a psychologist. So I thought I'd just give a little insight into what was helpful, what went on in the sessions, how it was, how I found it, what I gained, what I didn't gain. And hopefully that can help you in making a decision which path you want to go down, or if you've been referred to therapy, what you can expect. So the first type of therapy I had was seeing a counsellor. Now that was more bereavement counselling, but I have also had different sessions since which were to do with anxiety specifically. And the thing with counselling is it's more about listening to what you have to say rather than giving you loads of tips and how to get through it. But it is helpful in understanding yourself better and understanding what you're feeling and why you're feeling that way. And one of the things that I found really good about it is that you actually realize that you're doing the analysis yourself, right? So you learn to become self-sufficient in that way of you can go through your thoughts yourself and figure out what's bothering you. Because often, to start with, you're just focusing on the fact that you don't feel okay, you don't know why you don't feel okay, you're not sure what to do about it. But starting with a counsellor, you then have a chance to really go through things, and all they do really is give you prompts. So they'll ask you questions, and then, for example, you've had a situation that really got to you. Let's say you had like an anxiety attack in a class. They would say, well, how did you feel? What did you do? How did they respond? So it's giving you a chance to think deeper into the situation, which can actually help in a roundabout way of overcoming anxiety because you understand it better. And understanding a situation better gives you that almost reassurance of not needing to feel anxious anymore. You realise what your brain was perceiving as a threat. That's not to say that happens for everybody, but that's kind of the experience that I had. And I found out things that were bothering me that I honestly didn't even think about. They were so standard in my life, but I didn't realise what an impact they were having, or how much of an impact they were having. And that's why counselling really helps. And other therapies don't really do that. They don't talk so much about how you're feeling and what went on and how long you've been feeling that way or what you would want to do about it. And that can be really, really helpful to people. As I said though, honestly, I didn't find it that helpful initially because I just wanted to deal with the situation. I just wanted to not feel anxious anymore. And that wasn't helping. So it's definitely worth trying. Usually you can just go to your GP and they'll refer you. And you just have to, you get put on a waiting list normally. If you're younger, if you're under 18, usually the waiting list is shorter. If you're over 18, I mean, the last time that I went, there was like an 8-month waiting list. But a lot of people need help with their mental health, and it is a good resource. So that's kind of the one that I just wanted to get out of the way, because counselling is helpful in general for your mental health. Counselling is what can help you through depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, confidence issues, trauma. It's not just specific to anxiety. But because of that, you are just having to figure out your own way and talk about how you're feeling. And sometimes that's not that helpful. Sometimes it is. It really depends at what place you're in your life. The main help that I had was actually when I was referred to a psychologist. And I got that referral when I was really, really struggling with anxiety, because it wasn't, counselling wasn't really doing anything for me. So I went to see a child psychologist, even though I was 17, and that was like a breakthrough moment for me, because they explained anxiety and the concept, and it was the first time that it actually made sense, because before that I didn't think it was anxiety. I thought anxiety was just worrying. I didn't realise that it had all these physical symptoms attached with it and all these real issues that come along with it. So understanding, or having somebody understand what I was going through, helped tremendously. And it was clear that they had experience with this and this was their speciality, and it just felt like having that extra bit of support. But in those sessions, what was fantastic about it was that they really gave you a lot of tips, and they gave you a plan. And each session you'd progress with that plan. And if something wasn't working for you, you'd modify it and try again next week. And you'd always report back, see what worked, see what didn't, change it, add in something new. And every time you came across a new hurdle, they'd give you more tools to try and deal with it. And that for me actually made life bearable. Because before that, it just constantly felt like being trapped. No matter what I could do, it just, nothing was working. And this was the first time I felt like, okay, yes, it's a long-term plan, but actually it's something that might really help, and it is helping week to week. And that's huge when you can see progress every day practically, and you know what you're working towards. It's just a massive difference, and it is motivational, and it gets you focused, so you're not just concentrating on the bad things, you're looking into the good things. So that was one of the things I found really helpful. But on a side note, I have a blog post about my experience with psychologists if you want to check it out. The link will be in the description. But it was different with a different psychologist, right? I didn't gain many tips. I didn't get many tools. I didn't feel any difference week to week. It just felt like we were kind of going nowhere. So please bear in mind that every experience is different. Different therapists are different, and they have different methods. And it might not work for you, but that's not to mean that the type of therapy isn't good for you. It is more likely to mean you didn't connect with your therapist. So that's a key difference. And I want you to bear that in mind, because this then brings me to the third therapy, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, and I'll just refer to it as CBT, not the bike test. So CBT, the first 6 sessions, because it's like a 6-week program. So the first bout of that, I really didn't get on with my therapist, and I didn't feel any progress, and we were going around in circles. I felt like she didn't understand me at all. I just felt like we were really getting nowhere. We had all the worksheets, which is great, but it wasn't something I found useful at the time. However, a second lot of CBT I found super helpful. So, just bear that in mind. With CBT, it's great because it's a block of sessions, which most therapies are, especially if they're on the NHS. So it's great because you have a real plan, and you have your goals set out, and you discuss what situations you struggle with, and then you discuss your thought patterns, and then you challenge your thought patterns, and that kind of thing. It's great. There are a lot of materials that come with it, and you have regular homework, which actually feels good because, again, you feel like you're doing something towards it. And there's so many resources online as well. And it's great to gain more of an understanding. However, it just isn't always that applicable. Like, some anxieties are really triggered by a specific thought, others not so much. So with CBT, it's great. It's usually about an hour long per session, similarly with seeing a psychologist or a counsellor. And you go in there, you kind of have the introductory bit, and then you get on to the worksheets. And it's pretty good. It's quite relaxed. There's usually certain challenges that you have to do week to week, and that can be a bit inconvenient because, I mean, depending on your age as well, but you're not always in control of when you can do those things. Let's say, for example, you need to practice going to a shopping centre, right? Because that triggers anxiety. But like with the situation at the moment, it might not be that easy to do. So you have to, it's a bit tricky because it relies on you doing a lot outside of the sessions. And again, they give you tools and techniques that you can use, such as breathing techniques. So in a way, it's similar to seeing a psychologist, you know, when I'm describing it to you guys, but I have to say, in actuality, I felt completely different seeing a psychologist as seeing a cognitive behavioural therapist. And I assume it's because with the psychologist, it really feels as though the plan is tailored to you. It's specifically about what you struggle with. It is tools that will work for you, and you will keep finding new ones. But with CBT, it's as though it's a textbook, right? And I even bought a textbook, like a CBT for Dummies book, which has a load of worksheets, a load of plans, and it felt the exact same as if I went to the sessions. I didn't really feel as though I was connecting with a therapist. And actually, for me, although CBT is like proven to work for so many people, for me, there almost wasn't a point going, because I can access all the materials online. I can get other people's opinions and information on it and follow some guided tutorials or whatever, because you're not really connecting on a personal level. But with counsellors and with psychologists, you are connecting, and that is huge because you really feel like somebody has your back. And that's what you need when overcoming anxiety. You really need somebody to have your back. So really, those are the 3 types of therapy that I've personally experienced. And I hope that this has been somewhat informative for you. And the only thing I'd recommend is going with somebody, at least in the waiting room, because depending on what your anxiety is, but for me, the worst part of every type of therapy really was the waiting room, because it's just, that for me was a trigger point every time. So if you have somebody that can wait in the room and you can wait outside, or they can come and get you, that's ideal. But apart from that, the sessions are good because you're constantly having a dialogue backwards and forwards, and that's helpful. And they will prompt you if you're feeling like mentally blocked, and you are always working on things, and you can go outside if you need to. You know, you can ask for the sessions to be carried out in a way that works for you, and that's huge. So let me know in the comments any other talking therapies that you've tried out, or if you've tried any of the ones that I've mentioned. Drop this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.